So I just want to encourage you that if you're starting your emotional growth journey, just realize that initially it's exhausting to feel your emotions, and just give yourself lots of grace and space and patience in this journey, again, especially if you're new. Welcome to the EQ for Entrepreneurs podcast. Like most business owners, you already know you need good business and marketing strategies to scale and be profitable. But at some point, you've hit the dreaded wall where you feel stuck and frustrated. EQ for Entrepreneurs is for business owners and leaders who are honest enough to admit that they just might be the ones holding their business back and are brave enough to change that.
We're Noble and Kathy, and every week we're having candid conversations about all things emotional intelligence and how growing that has allowed us to get out of our own way and is radically transforming both our businesses and our personal lives. This is the secret sauce strategy for modern entrepreneurs who are tired of hustling without seeing results and want to grow a business and a life that they love.
Entrepreneurs, leaders, and influencers, welcome to today's episode 130. Emotions are exhausting. And I'm going to talk about the Mood Meter app that has been game changer to help increase my self-awareness. And hopefully it'll help increase your self-awareness too, should you decide to start implementing that tool or that resource. Thank you all so much for the support. We're over, as some of you all know, we're over 30,000 downloads, which we're super excited about. And for those of y'all who have been watching this on YouTube or listening to the podcast, both by the same name, EQ for Entrepreneurs, again, thank you for your support. And for those of y'all that are wanting an actual scientific assessment of where you're at with your emotional intelligence, almost like a before photo, if you will, of your emotional intelligence, let us know. Hit us up at eqforentrepreneurs.com/training, and you will be able to see there's a spot where you can check out the assessment. And that comes with a 1-hour conversation with me, and I will help to interpret and explain how to read your assessment and report of your emotional intelligence. And again, that's eqforentrepreneurs.com/training. Also, if you are part of an organization that would like some EQ training, some EQ coaching, an EQ presentation, again, you can go to that same website and check out that as a potential option as well. If you have any questions, you can email us at info@eqforentrepreneurs.com, info@eqforentrepreneurs.com. Okay, this is going to be kind of an extension of the last episode, talking about trust. Here's the other component of this journey that we have been on. God told us to sell our house. Now, we love it where we're at. Absolutely love it. And so, man, that was the first question. Like, man, are you serious? Like, hey, God, you're coming in broken and distorted. Like, are you sure? I've only got 1 bar instead of 4 bars. Like, I think we don't have a good connection here. Why on earth would you have us leave, like a dream kind of spot? We had this amazing view of the Rockies. Literally to my right, as I'm doing this episode right now, is a massive, massive chunk, miles and miles and miles that we can see of the Rocky Mountains. It's absolutely beautiful, beautiful. So just getting that kind of that word a couple times, okay, sell the house. But that was it. We didn't get anything else. We didn't get any, okay, here's where you're going, here's when you're going, here's how you're going to go, all the different details. We didn't get into that stuff. It's almost like God told, how God told Ranger Abraham in the Bible, go. And Abraham's like, yeah, dude, but like, give me the direction and distance, right? Give me the azimuth, give me the checkpoints. None of that. It was just go and obey. So that's kind of what we're in the process of doing. And it's been very, very challenging for me personally, because as we're kind of exploring and checking out these different areas and stuff, I'm falling in love with almost every single area. I get emotionally attached to every single area that we see, every different, property that we see, homes, the different areas, all across, we've traveled probably 4 or 5 different states, and maybe we're going to stay here. I've no idea, but I'm kind of getting frustrated at myself because I am getting so emotionally attached to every single property that we go to. So that's one thing. I'm getting frustrated at myself because of how emotionally attached I'm getting. Now, I don't know where that's coming from. I still haven't figured that out yet. Now, I used to do that with people because of my addiction to people pleasing. The same thing that I'm doing with properties now, I would do with people for 98% of my life. So we've only been doing this kind of looking around for the past few months, but I mean, this is how I used to roll with people for literally for 98% of my life. And so, but that came from people pleasing. I don't know what this is coming from because it's not like I'm property pleasing, right? So what I've realized is it's exhausting. It is exhausting to get so enmeshed and intense and involved emotionally in every single one of these properties. So I've got to figure that piece out. I've still got to figure that piece out. But just realize, I guess the point there is, for those of you all that may be a little bit newer on your emotional growth journey, just realize when you begin to allow yourself to start to feel emotions, when, again, if you're like me, you never have allowed yourself to feel emotions, it's exhausting. It is physically, now of course it's mentally and emotionally exhausting, but it's also physically exhausting to allow yourself to begin feeling these emotions. Now, what will happen over time, because right now your emotional processing muscles are probably atrophied, again, like mine. So I did not have a truckload of emotional endurance to be able to feel emotions. And I'm still very much, again, kind of relatively new in my journey, even though it's been 3 or 4 years now. I still feel like I'm still pretty novice in terms of my emotional muscles and my emotional endurance. And so, man, with every property, we get done with this property, I'm like, oh man, I love it because of all these different reasons. And then if we choose to go to another different property, oh man, I love this one. I feel like Gilligan's Island, right? Gilligan, maybe some of you guys aren't old enough to know Gilligan's Island, but old Ranger Gilligan would be like, oh, that's a great idea. Oh, that's a great idea. Oh, that's a great idea. With whoever was talking, he's like, oh yeah, that was totally me too. That was totally how I used to roll too. As a people pleaser addict, that was another area where that would be very, very prevalent in my regular life. And so that's how I feel with property now. And again, it is exhausting. So I just want to encourage you that if you're starting your emotional growth journey, just realize that initially it's exhausting to feel your emotions, and just give yourself lots of grace and space and patience in this journey, again, especially if you're new. Also, realize that, I guess the second point would be, realize that it may take some time to develop, grow, and strengthen your emotional muscles, your emotional processing muscles, your emotional processing bandwidth, your emotional processing endurance. So that'd be number 3. It may take some time to grow those muscles, those processing muscles. All right. So something that has been tremendously helpful for me in my emotional growth journey, and honestly, I'm only recently consistent at it. I started a little while back, not that far back, maybe let's say 4 or 5, 6 months ago, but I'm only recently consistent at it, or more consistent at it now. And that is the Mood Meter app. The Mood Meter app. It has been a phenomenal tool for me to begin to really start taking my self-awareness up to that next level. I've started to grow it, obviously, because I've been working on it the past 3 or 4 years, but man, it's really helping me take my self-awareness to the next level. Now, to the next level, I'm still not where my wife is at. She's been very strong in self-awareness for most of her life. That's been an area that I have serious emotional atrophy in, and yeah, have very little self-awareness muscles at this point. So this is really helping me, again, level up my self-awareness game. So check this out. Some benefits with this whole mood meter app. And I think it's like 99 cents. I don't have any connection to it. I don't know the owners. I don't know who built it or put it together, but it's been a great resource for me. I think it's 99 cents in the App Store. And why has it been helpful for me? It's forcing me to check in with myself. Now, I say it's forcing me, it's only forcing me because I'm doing it. Now, you can do that a couple different ways. One, what's a great way to start a new habit? Attach it to a habit that you already have. So for me, I go to jits every day, my Brazilian jiu-jitsu every day. So I try to either fill out my mood meter app either before or after my jiu-jitsu. So then I try to do it 2 or 3 times a day. I'll try to do it around a meal, or I'll try to do it in the evening. I try to do 2 to 3 check-ins a day. And so so in that regard, it's forcing me to check in with myself. The second way to kind of get more consistent at forcing yourself, again, using the mood meter app to check in with yourself, is by setting your alarms, setting your phone alarm or watch alarm 2 or 3 different times throughout the day. Reminder, boom, check your mood meter app or fill it out. And it's literally, it takes 10 seconds, 10 to 15 seconds to fill out, maybe 30 seconds max to fill this thing out. So that's something to consider. All right. So the other thing is, so that's a couple things there. The other thing is, it helps me, kind of check in. Okay. Cause it asks you, the first question is, how are you feeling? And I'm going to be honest with you. Even though I'm getting more consistent at filling this out, man, I'd say, again, full transparency, I'm gonna say 40 to 60% of the time, and it fluctuates, so that's why I'm giving that window, 40 to 60% of the time, I am still having a difficult time with even how I'm feeling in the moment. Still, even though I've been doing this I haven't been doing the mood meter app for 3 years, but I've been on this emotional growth journey for a few years now. But the mood meter app has probably been consistently maybe the last month. And still, okay, hey, this is when I'm supposed to fill it out. So boom, I open up my mood meter app. Okay, how am I feeling? Man, I sit there like, man, I have no idea. I have no idea how I'm feeling right now. So I'm still, again, I'm just being honest with you where I'm at in my journey. The other cool thing, so the first thing it asks you is, what are you feeling? The second thing is then it comes with, once you kind of identify what you're feeling, then it says notes. It has a little note section, and then it's literally like Twitter. It has like 140 characters to fill in some notes about how you're feeling. Well, for me, I try to, again, first of all, identify how, what am I feeling? What or how I'm feeling. Then the second thing with that note section is I try to identify why I'm feeling what I'm feeling or how I'm feeling. And so that's what I'm using that second category, the note section for, to kind of dig deeper and not just, okay, I'm feeling sleepy, or I'm feeling happy or excited or confused or perplexed or enthusiastic, whatever that emotion is. Now I'm trying to be that next level of intention with why I'm feeling that particular emotion. So, and again, it's not super easy for me. So it's really forcing me to take some time. Okay, what am I feeling? Why am I feeling this particular emotion? But here's what's also cool. A benefit about this mood meter app is that the more I'm thinking about this stuff and the more I'm putting my thoughts down and feelings and emotions down, the more comfortable and familiar I'm getting with recognizing these different emotions, which is huge. It's also, again, forcing me to stop, pause, check in with myself, because normally what I do is I would just push through whatever that emotion or emotions that would be bubbling up. I would just push through them because, again, for those of you that have been following our podcast for any length of time, I am a lifelong stuffer and avoider of my emotions. So normally I'd feel these emotions bubble up. Immediately I would do something. I'd go do something so that it was my coping mechanism. Doing was my coping mechanism so that I wouldn't have to feel or face any of those bubbling up emotions or feelings that I was feeling. So keep that in mind as well. Be aware of your coping mechanisms that may not be healthy or productive, especially in this case. If you're a doer like me, if you have, maybe you have been using doing as a subconscious coping mechanism so that you're not having to feel, face, or confront your emotions or feelings. So, and the other thing too, the other insight that I've developed is the more that I'm doing this, the more consistent that I become in this area, I'm realizing that there's more than just one emotion that I'm feeling. So sometimes it'll pop up in like popcorn. Boom, not just one, but okay, here comes another one. Oh man, once I've identified this one, oh man, here's another one that pops up. Oh, here's another one that pops up. So sometimes I'll identify that initial emotion in the mood meter app, but then in the notes section, I'll put on type in some corresponding emotions that have also popped up while I'm going through that exercise. So the mood meter app, it starts by kind of laying out this quadrant. Again, you'll have to pull it up yourself, but it has this quadrant, these four separate areas. On the top left corner, it asks for, are you high energy, unpleasant emotions? Are you experiencing high energy, unpleasant emotions? On the bottom left corner, it has, are you feeling low energy, unpleasant emotions? On the top right corner, high energy, pleasant emotions, or bottom right corner, are you low energy, pleasant emotions? So on the top, again, is high energy. The bottom is low energy. On the left, it's unpleasant. On the right, it's pleasant. So then it's just figuring out which quadrant you're falling in. And that's helpful for me because I'll start with just asking myself those questions. Okay, am I pleasant or unpleasant? Okay, I'm feeling a little unpleasant right now. Okay, now am I high energy or low energy? Okay, kind of low energy right now. Because here's what I've noticed. In the mornings when I first wake up, because I'm still working through getting better at sleeping. I'm not the best sleeper. I've got this kind of weird sleep schedule that I've got going on. I've had going on for quite some time. And so typically when I wake up, I have low energy. So that's where I start off. I'm somewhere in the low energy. Now I just got to figure out, is it unpleasant or is it pleasant? So then I'll pick whatever quadrant that is, unpleasant or pleasant. And then in each of those categories, each of those four major categories, it has 25 corresponding emotions to each of those four different categories. So then you break it down even further with how you're feeling. Now, what I've been doing, because I'm still building my emotional vocabulary, is I will literally click on every single tile of the 25 emotions in that tile to see what they are. And then when you click on an emotion that may be the closest or most accurate that you feel, then in the top corner of that, it will define what that emotion is for you, which is, again, super helpful for someone like me who is still building my emotional vocabulary. So that's been super, super helpful. And here's what's been cool. Going back up to the story of how God told us to sell the house, and we're still in the middle of that process right now, it is really helping me process my emotions. All these emotions that I'm feeling, and man, it's up and down. I'm excited one minute, the next minute I'm like, oh man, because we hit another obstacle or a roadblock, or someone's already purchased a house. You guys know the real estate market in some places of the country is insane right now. And so anyway, but the Mood Meter app has been really helpful in helping me process and get more familiar and self-aware with the emotions that are popping up. It's also helping me recognize and become more self-aware sooner of the emotions that I'm feeling as well. Sometimes it would take me hours to realize, oh man, I'm feeling, pleasant or unpleasant, even that level, let alone being able to identify specifically what emotion I was feeling. So anyway, I encourage you guys to, again, if you're on this emotional growth journey, if you want a great tool or resource, check out the Mood Meter app, because again, it may help you identify, process, and deal with some of the emotions that you're feeling and experiencing in your life right now. Even if it's not big stuff, maybe you're not going through some big life transition right now. Maybe it's just your day-to-day, regular, normal grind. or normal schedule and stuff, still they can really maybe help you work through and grow your self-awareness in this, in that area of emotional intelligence. Again, if you're wanting some help in the area, if you want an assessment, scientific assessment of how you're doing with your emotional intelligence, kind of a before photo of your emotional intelligence, check us out at eqforentrepreneurs.com/training, eqforentrepreneurs.com/training. And remember, emotionally healthy people help heal other people emotionally. Also remember, unaddressed emotional issues do not get better over time. They, in fact, compound. Emotional issues do not get better over time. They, in fact, compound. Emotionally healthy people help heal other people emotionally.